Um, for those who I haven't met yet, I'm Davina McCormick. I'm from the Queensland University of Technology. Interesting thing about my country is there's a few people who've mentioned that their perception of Australia is that we have the most laws and we are the most rule-following nation anywhere in the world. So just to rebel against that, today I'm not wearing my name badge, so I consider that a guideline and not a rule. I've been asked to talk about my story so far. So I joined the Global Ambassadors program last year. I flew to South Africa, having handed in my last assignment about half an hour before I started packing to get on the plane. So I had a great time in South Africa, but probably was like a lot of you. And I didn't really know what I was being asked to do. It was the first time my school had gotten involved, and they weren't really sure either. They were looking to me to decide what it is we were going to do with the Global Ambassadors program. So just at a snapshot, my year involved one international summit, 2 dedicated events. So I did a networking event, which I'll touch on next, and a webinar, 2 media interviews and a story topic for ambition. When I was putting this together, I noticed it was going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 4. So I added the 1 story topic, kind of adds up to 3. 4 information evenings, 5 presentations, plus 1 global challenge article. I was the joint winner with Bridget, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on my global challenge article because I'm very proud to say that the person who was the focus of my article is Paul Quilliam, who is now our 2nd global ambassador. He runs a fantastic organisation, a not-for-profit called Queensland Kids that's working to build a children's hospice for the 3,700 children in Queensland that have a life-limiting condition. So that means that, unfortunately, they're not likely to make it to the age of 18. So a fantastic cause, but I'm not going to spend too much time on that today because I encourage you all to go up and ask Paul about his fantastic journey that he's been on since he finished his executive MBA. And 6 panel interviews for the new ambassador to select our wonderful new person, Paul, and 1 re-accreditation process that our university's just been re-accredited for another 5 years. And on top of that, I've had the privilege to attend many VIP events, luncheons, etc., and represent both QUT and AMBA at many meetings with the university. So the first event that I really wanted to cover was my networking event. So in Australia, we are quite isolated from the rest of the world. I know I've told many of you it took me 30 hours and 4 flights to get here, but we do really want to be part of the global business landscape. But before we could really do that, most of our students actually don't know that much about the Association of MBAs. When you attend QUT, you know the school is triple accredited, but you don't really know what that means other than that it's a quality seal of approval for the school. So we decided to launch an event to really make sure people understood what AMBA was and what AMBA membership could do for them. So we had over 70 attendees. I think we had about 75. I approached a guest speaker, Danielle Duell. She's the CEO of Spices Group. For those in Australia and the UK, you might be aware of an organisation called Flight Centre. Danielle runs the private hospitality business interests of the head of Flight Centre, Screw Turner. I approached her because, as Hammett said, it is quite difficult to find speakers, particularly if you're trying to get them to speak for free. When I approached Danielle, it's a good alignment because some of her clients could be the people in the room, future graduating MBAs. So she very kindly agreed to speak at our event, and she was amazing. She's such an inspirational speaker. So we had a very good success rate. 97% of the participants rated it very good or excellent. And what really worked was Danielle's personal story. She was very honest. She talked with enthusiasm. She talked about when she went to Harvard, because she won a scholarship to Harvard after graduating from QUT, and she talked about going into a room and speaking to young business students of Harvard in their sort of 20 to 25 age group, and they were asking her what was the most direct way to get to the CEO. How do I get to the top? How do I do it in the shortest amount of time possible. And she was really honest about the fact that her journey success had been more of a squiggly line than a direct, I started here and I got there. And people really could connect with that in the room. What else worked was that I really did have the school support. I couldn't have organised that event by myself. I do have a full-time job that's quite demanding, so I really worked closely with the alumni school, and I approached a lot of my fellow MBAs to work at the event for me, to be there at the registration desk, to make sure all the surveys got completed, so I could be there just hosting the evening and making sure Danielle was looked after. We did a 20-minute Q&A, and to be honest, I think she was so interesting. People could have gone on forever. We ended up having to cut it because people just kept asking her great questions. What I do differently, though, is we didn't record it. She was so fantastic, and a lot of the feedback sheets we got was, I hope you've recorded this because some of my fellow colleagues couldn't come. And unfortunately, we missed that opportunity. And we also had people who wanted more networking. So we did networking before she spoke, and we did it after, but people wanted more. We had to actually ask people to leave because we only had the room till 8 o'clock. So Danielle Duell is the lady with the orange shirt in this photo on the right. The second event I will talk about was the Global Social Business Summit. So this was my prize for being a joint winner of the Global Ambassadors Challenge. And my job was to go and represent AMBA and also speak to the young challengers, who are a group of entrepreneurs who are under 25 who are looking to set up social businesses. The whole conference is a social business summit and a young challengers meeting, and it's chaired by Professor Muhammad Yunus, who is a Nobel Peace Prize winner, and I had the fortunate opportunity to meet and speak with him. So it was a fantastic networking opportunity and also an education opportunity. But what I really took away from that event is there's these fantastic young entrepreneurs out there with these great social business ideas that are just looking for a little bit of business guidance and opportunities to help them with direction. So we worked during that meeting on using strategy on a page and business model canvas, and they really struggled with those concepts because they've got these fantastic ideas but they don't know how to build out a business model. And I think that's really something that if we want to be responsible leaders that we could do to help these young people with great ideas. So that's some of the photos, and of course at the end is myself and Professor Muhammad Yunus, who set up the Grameen Bank, which is a microfinancing social business that pays for itself. So he takes all the profits and puts them back into other social businesses around the world. And just finally, on some challenges, opportunities and tips, kind of similar to Hemet, time constraints are going to be a challenge for those who are, we're doing this voluntarily, and there's a lot in it for us. There's fantastic networking events, networking opportunities, and really an opportunity to build a profile, which I've been able to do very successfully with my university and with a lot of the CEOs that I now get to meet and interact with. But to deal with those time constraints, there's actually some opportunities in that. It's about networking and working with your school, not trying to compete with the alumni things that are already happening with your school, but really trying to bring that global opportunity to those local alumni events and add value in that way. Quality over quantity. So we were set the challenge to do 2 events and 2 webinars. What I found is with going to Malaysia for the Global Business Summit and some of the other things I got involved with, unfortunately I did have to cancel one of our webinars because I just did not have the time. So I didn't want to lose momentum, but I also had to balance that with not wanting to put on an event that I wouldn't be proud of, and that would undermine all of the reputation building work that we'd done with the first couple of events with the university. So I'm really excited Paul's joined this year because I believe with the 2 of us we'll be able to do even more. So my third tip is really to involve other students, not just other ambassadors, but there's lots of other students in the school that may not get this opportunity, but could still add value and still get some benefit out of being involved in the events that you organise. And momentum's kind of a challenging thing when you've got other things to do with your life as well. So I would look at the potential to co-host at other alumni events, so not having to do everything that's from scratch by yourself, and engage visiting international lecturers and speakers who are already visiting your schools. and look to students for future topics that they might want to have a webinar or an event on. And if they're nominating, then make them be part of organising it and making sure it happens. The final challenge, particularly for us in Australia, is the remote global location I referred to earlier. And as I mentioned, better use of technology. My other learning was test the technology, including any backup technology that you have before going forward with your event. We had a few challenges with our webinar. So, and where to from here? I think year one for us was really about raising awareness of what AMBA can do for my fellow alumni, and year two will really be about increasing international connections. So that's sort of everything from me. It's been a blast so far.
Thank you very much.